So do you think it's okay to then eat the dogs?
Rationally, I would find it okay.
Okay.
Emotionally, I would not be able to eat it. So
Okay, so are you like a vegan or?
no, I'm not a vegan.
Okay.
That's why it would be hypocritical to say no. But then I know that it would be weird for me to eat a dog if I have to be honest.
Okay, so it's hypocritical to say no to eating dogs, but you wouldn't do it, but it's not hypocritical to do that to cows.
I think it's hypocritical to differentiate. I think it's normal that we react emotionally differently to something that pet and
So if he could not be my pet, like a human, then it's okay to...
you can eat them whenever you want. That's fine.
Okay, it would be really funny if they weren't like real victims, you know?
I have conflicting feelings about this. I'm not a big meat eater, but I didn't really want to get into this discussion right now. I also find eating meat natural, and this is the reason why I continue eating meat. But I didn't really want to discuss. I completely respect what you're doing, and I see your point
Basing
of view.
our morals on nature is a fallacy, because nature isn't a moral compass, and animals rape each other in nature. Like humans has always been raping each other too.
Yeah, but we're animals.
Yeah, right. But just because we are animals or we have developed like in a very violent way, it's not a justification to keep on doing something that is natural. You know, like rape is natural, like sepsis is natural. That doesn't make it good or bad. But now we have the moment where we can morally reflect, and that is what we supposedly say makes us humane. What differentiates us from the wild animals who are basing their actions on instinct. We can reflect before giving in to our instincts. Now, if we have the possibility to reflect, shouldn't we reflect and not send animals to slaughter and be vegan instead?
I think I agree with most of the things you say. I think animals should be treated in a more humane way, and this slaughtering that takes place is horrible in most cases. I'm not completely against eating meat. I still think it's part of the circle of life. Like if I had a dog, I would feed my dog meat because that's what dog eats. And as humans, I think we also need a different kind of diet. And I agree with you. We should not take meat from those places where the animals are treated in horrible ways. But I'm not completely against eating meat.
Yeah, I'm not completely against eating human meat.
Yeah.
Because that's even more bioadequate nutrition for us. Would you agree with me saying that? It's part
Like
of this-
killing somebody to eat their meat?
just like you do it.
No, but I do not believe that I should feel that humans and animals are at the same level.
Where's the relevant difference?
Because I'm human and I treat other humans as myself, and I don't treat animals as myself. I recognize this.
Okay, he's not a woman, but I still give him the right not to be abused. You know?
I really
and the
didn't want
animals
to
aren't
enter
like
this
us, but they still deserve the right not to be abused.
So if I have to be honest, I don't think this is the way you can convince people.
How can I convince you to go vegan?
There's something like this amazing food that could actually taste like meat, but it's more ethical. Do you want to try it?
Yeah, but you know that already, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are you
I
not
eat it.
vegan?
I eat it sometimes.
Why are you not vegan if you
Because
know
it
that?
does not provide me with the same type of proteins that meat gives me.
Which ones?
I have iron deficiency. And
That
if I
has
eat
nothing to do with proteins, though, but something with iron. You can supplement iron. You can eat iron-rich foods like whole wheat, like protein, like supplements of iron in necessity. If you really need it, there's a lot of dry fruit that's high in iron. You can always combine your iron sources like oatmeal with citrus. There are solutions for that, and we're happily here to provide them. But we can only give solutions to someone who's actually willing to look for them. And you seem to be looking more for excuses to keep on enslaving animals instead of solutions to not do so.
Maybe in the future, if science progress more, then we don't need animal meat.
I have a secret for you. The greatest associations of dietetics all agree that we can be vegan without harming animals for slaughtering, without abusing animals right now. So we are in that future right now. We can get all nutrition, including iron, even for iron deficient people right now. So what is stopping you?
One day, but over the time.
We are here on this day now. So what is your justification for enslaving animals?
Maybe I try to eat meat less. Because I think more and I take it into account and I find for more vegan. With them I can be even more healthy, I understand.
I thank you both for being open to change. I really respect that. However, this is a moral emergency because right now we have an ongoing slavery, the largest Holocaust on this planet that is happening because people see themselves as humans in the rightful position to abuse them just because they're a little bit different. I understand that I'm not a pig, that you're not a cow. However, you wouldn't do that to dogs. You already said that. Now we need an ethically significant difference to do that to the other animals.
In other countries they eat dogs and I'm not against that.
You're not against that. In other countries they cut away the genital parts of women and you're not against that too just because it's another country?
No, because that is human. It's horrible.
Okay, so as long as I'm not human, you can send me to slaughter. If I were an alien now, you would eat me?
I don't know if you're alien.
If I am, we test our DNA now. I just want to test because it cannot just be the species a justification. If I were to harm a dog in front of you, you would say stop. If there were a calf, like a moo, a baby cow in front of you, you
would say stop.
You would say stop. That's amazing. And that makes you vegan already. You just have to align your actions with your morals. If you would stop me from abusing cows, sheep, pigs in front of your eyes, then please don't pay someone to systematically abuse and torture these animals just for pleasure, just for tradition, just because it's normal and everyone does it.
But wouldn't there still be... so I totally agree with you with the slaughter and the imprisonment of animals in general, okay. But you cannot eliminate the fact that animals eat other animals and torture. I mean, a lion that eats...
It's terrible for the victim, yes.
It's terrible for the victim, and that you cannot eliminate. So it's like embedded in the life circle.
I love that you're making this point too, because I, as an animal rights activist, I don't only speak up for the animals who are being imprisoned in these slaughter industries. There might actually be an argument to be made that the most suffering comes from the victims in the wild. That is why at the start I said that nature is not a moral compass, because animals, they rip each other to shreds, they rape each other. It's terrible out there.
But then do you think that my dog should become vegan?
Well, veganism is a moral stance and an animal cannot understand the abstract.
Okay,
let me finish. He should be fed a plant-based diet. No, that does not mean that he only gets carrots and salad, but there's actually fortified, perfectly fit vegan food for dogs and also for cats. And I know that sounds weird and abstract and totally futuristic, but you were talking about science here before, and science makes these things possible because you're not the first person who's open to veganism and animal rights who has these thoughts. People have come up with, sorry, ein bisschen leiser bitte, with these fortified foods, and it is possible to, können die beide ein bisschen leiser sein? Sorry, I can't think. So we can feed dogs a fortified plant-based diet, yes, and that is healthy and safe.
The diet is not vegan, so it's okay to kill an animal to feed my
dog. It should be vegan. It should be a fully vegan diet.
Yeah, but the dog, you said a percentage of vegan diet.
No. It's fortified. It's vegan food that is fortified with all the stuff that they would usually get, like more iron, like more methionine for cats especially, like the taurine that we have in Red Bull that used to actually come for these energy drinks from real bulls. Now we can do that all in vegan. And that's amazing. Like, we don't no longer rely on slitting someone's throat to get vitamin B12, because we can make the vitamin B12 for ourselves and also for our companion animals in a lab and just give it in there. And that's why science is a part of our humanity. We should use it for good. And we can. And if you wouldn't slit an animal's throat for your dog because, Jesus Christ, why would you do that? Like, Lord Tafunya, save us, then we shouldn't do it for our dog and just also give them vegan food, and for ourselves especially. Yes, of course. you're way further than a vegan in your heart. You're already like an animal rights activist, also making the connection to the wild animals. And I seriously beg you, and I hope that you're understanding this, to just live in alignment with these thoughts that you and realizations that you just have. You have the possibility to be vegan. You even have the possibility to speak up for these victims who do not have a voice. 50, 60 years ago, women like us, even 100 years ago, we couldn't vote in some parts of Europe. Like women, like you just said, it's not okay to like abuse their bodies, even our men too. Why should it be okay with animals? That's just a trivial line just because they have a different species. It's just as trivial as the skin color, as the gender. It's called speciesism. It's like racism towards these other animals. That's my case for veganism, that they're here with us, not for us, yes? So how can I help you to do this? Do you need more information when it comes to nutrition? I can give you that too.
Yeah, that you can.
So you can scan this and you just have to set the website to English. When you click on How Vegan on the top, I provide a vegan nutrition protein guide. There's also a lot of information on iron, how to get it out of your food and how to also get it from supplements. But in 99% of the cases, if you eat an adequate vegan diet, you will get iron. I used to have iron deficiency when I was non-vegan. That usually had to do because I was bleeding very much as a teenager. I was also rather thin. You are a thin woman, and like it might be something like that already because you already have that, and then you can also supplement and adapt for that. But that should never be an excuse, but a problem that we can solve in the vegan realm. There's also a movie on that. If you scan it, right away you find a video that I made. It's called Why Vegan, that takes 8 minutes. And the second part is called Dominion. And Dominion is a documentary that shows the standard practices for meat, for dairy, for eggs, for leather, for cosmetics.
What's the name of the documentary?
Dominion, it says there, second one. Veganism is not about food. It's about the right of animals not to be abused for our food, for our clothes, for our entertainment, like zoos and circuses. And the next thought is, of course, also providing some kind of help to the animals who are out there, who are suffering every second, like every ant, every mouse. They at least deserve the right not to be seen as objects, as commodities, and that is veganism.
But even if we, I mean, I really understand, I really appreciate, but even if we all become vegan, you will still have this animal suffering in nature. Yes. And that doesn't make you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, it makes me feel terrible for these victims because I will probably not be able to help every one of them.
Would it be right to help the victim of a lion? I mean,
well, of course the lion is also a victim of his own status.
But is it victim or is it just the way life is?
Well,
it's a circle.
Two things. Just because life isn't a justification to not help a victim. Because if a lion attacks you and I say, well, that's a circle, you wouldn't accept that as an apology not to help you. Because we are also kind of part of this wild, even though we say we're so sophisticated.
Society is not built that way. Society, you help a person from your...
But we would also help other people. We go into other countries and provide them water and food. And
this is how society works. And it's not the same for me if a lion eats a giraffe.
It's a huge complex system, and we can only find solutions to ending or reducing a lot of this suffering when we at least come to terms with not abusing someone just because they're different.
I agree that we should go against the abuse and extreme suffering. Yeah. This, yes. I still don't think you can eliminate this.
I don't think so either. If you want to go really hardcore on that thought topic, I do thoroughly invite you to. There is something called ethylism. Now that might for some sound really extreme because you say that's just life. And they say, well, yes, and that's why life is an imposition. Nobody chooses to be here. They're antinatalists. They're like antinatalists plus. And they say we should eliminate all life because only then we can eliminate all suffering. I do not yet know if I fully agree with that because it just, like you said, it kind of emotionally bugs me to just press a red button and delete everything. Pragmatically, I do not think that we can actually advocate a lot for it without...
It's just acceptance. It's not like, oh, it's all suffering, then we should all die. I mean, life is made of good things and suffering. And
well, that's easy to say if you're not being mauled by a lion, you know, because if you're being mauled by a lion, I think most victims in that position would wish if they could even have that abstract thought to probably never have been born to even live through that suffering.
I don't know if a giraffe has such an intense... Maybe she's happy. and she was happy the second before.
I do hope so. I do also that the adrenaline flushes away all that suffering, but I don't think so. And like I said, I applaud you for thinking that compassionately about them. I think we should help the animals where we can. Like, for example, a real world example would be rabies. We kind of eliminated rabies for wild foxes in Europe. Rabies is a terrible disease that causes a lot of suffering to the victim, but also to the one who's bitten and passes it on. However, we didn't help these foxes out of, the foxes, they're suffering, but because we didn't want rabies. But we did find solutions here. And of course, it's very difficult to interfere with nature in that way because something might collapse and then the whole country is, like, bleak, and maybe there's more suffering, but also no more air. Like, it's a very complex system, and there needs to be a lot more funding and exactly these kinds of debates on the topic of wild animal suffering. But it's always so weird to me when we already have these thoughts here without laying like the fundamentals of veganism. That's where it starts, and then of course we immediately have to take that leap to find solutions. Definitely.
But this is where I disagree with you. I don't think we have to find solutions to the fact that animals eat other animals. But okay, we're going in circles and I have to go fly.
If you have a pet dog and a lion comes and wants to maul him...
Of course, I told you, it's not rational, but it's my dog. I will protect it.
Yeah, but even if it's not your dog, but your neighbor's dog or some other dog, like, you can suffer it. Of course, I don't see it as much as a responsibility as just stopping the abuse that I directly cause. That is a given, and I hope you understand that now. And that means veganism from now on, no way past that. And then I do think morally that we should, it's a moral good to help. I don't think that it's a moral imperative to help. But since we always cause suffering, I do want to, from a utilitaristic kind of point of view, do give something back. And that starts with my vegan activism. And then the next step, if this already were a vegan world, then I would probably be standing here and say, help the koalas who have chlamydia in their eyes, help all the foxes in other countries who still suffer from rabies, help stop the wildfires where kangaroos burn to death. Like, why the fuck? Where shouldn't we help? If we can, without everything collapsing, or just press the red button and go poof, and everything's gone, but I can't do that.
Okay, I will have to go. Thank you very much for...
Will you be vegan now?
I won't, but it's good to have this exchange.
Shame on you! Have a great vegan life!